Hey, I Get Your Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. We've gotten about 1,000 subscribers to the channel since I really went in depth about Firefly Petunias and what makes them special. So if you've watched a lot of my videos, I've been doing breeding work with the Firefly Petunias. So I've been trying to take these plain white petunias and bring a color into them. And that's kind of normal. That's something any average gardener can do. But I'm not working with an average plant. If you were not aware, Firefly Petunias are a bioluminescent flower. That means they glow in the dark, but it's not like you have to shine a UV light on them or that you have to put them in sunlight and charge them up and then they glow for 20 or 30 minutes. These plants glow all the time. It's just you can only generally see it when it's dark. So these plants have been hybridized genetically with a glow-in-the-dark fungus. So they took 2 copies of the glowing gene from a bioluminescent or a glowing fungus, and they inserted them into the genetic makeup of the petunia. If you're familiar with the term CRISPR, believe that's how they did that. That's basically how most modern genetic engineering is done. I don't know the specifics. I'm not tied to light bio. I am just a hobbyist and a nurseryman that really enjoys working with them. So anyway, these plants glow in the dark. Let me show you. Since I don't have fancy video editing software where I can incorporate my photo into the video, we're going to do it this way. So this is a photograph I took of my Firefly Petunias. This is a time lapse. These are generally 32-second exposures. Your human eye can pick up the light a lot better than these cameras can, especially the cell phone that I'm using to record this. So that's why I've kind of got to do a time lapse there, so it gets enough light so that you can see it on or in the image. But this is a Firefly Petunia, and it's really just one of these. So this blossom is the ones that you're seeing there. You're seeing these actual petunias glow. Now, the reason I've been working with them is I've been adding in different colored blossoms to my Firefly Petunias. So these here are a hybrid of Firefly Petunias. So they were colored petunias that were crossed with the white petunias, which is why you can kind of see some of these white ones here. And we were just kind of a mixed bag luck of what colors we were able to get out. You know, there's some striking purpley pinks. This is actually a lot more purple than what it's showing up on film. Regular whites, but these blossoms are larger. Here's a little bit different pink. It's kind of a richer pink. It's kind of getting dark. Some of them have a deep blue throat. Some of them have a yellow throat. Some of them are blue. But I've continued doing that breeding work here. Now, I did get a question online, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. And that question was a response to one of my comments that when I'm doing my breeding work, I will be going through with all of my hybrids and selecting the brightest plants for my genetic work. Now, so I'm going to select my brightest plants for my hybridization, so my breeding project. Now, that's not that I'm increasing the brightness over the original Firefly Petunia. I haven't found any of my hybrids that are brighter than the original. With all of the hybrids that I've done so far, they're actually dimmer than the original. So my assumption is that they've lost one of the 2 copies of the genetic information from the bioluminescent petunia. So they've lost one of those copies, so they glow about half as bright. So this is an example of one of my hybrids, and this one glows half as bright as the original Firefly Petunia. So it's missing one of those sets of genes in here. Now, they still glow quite noticeably, so when you're out amongst there, you know they glow, but when this is side by side with a regular Firefly Petunia, you're like, yeah, that's about half as bright. Now, there is something else that's going on, and that's a process called gene silencing. That's where the plant cells, for lack of a better term, their immune system, their ability to recognize genetic material and errors that's not supposed to be there. There are some plants where that's become active and it's actually snipped out and removed the bioluminescent genes, or the majority of those. And when that happens to a plant, it's called silencing. Okay? So it's It's muted, it's silenced. It's not as expressed or present as much as it was in the original plant or even in the F1 hybrids. And this is an F1 hybrid. And this is one of my petunias that's actually been silenced. So this one glows very, very, very dimly. In fact, pretty much the only thing you can notice glow is like the tips of the blossoms or the tips of the new growth. And you gotta kind of be around it for a little bit and really have your eyes adjusted to see it. So they do glow, but they're not very bright. And that's kind of a hazard right now in genetic engineering, is the cells of the organism recognizing that there's foreign genetic material there and eliminating it. And when they do that, it can eliminate it, just at the tip of a branch. It can eliminate it down at the crown of the plant. It could be just one branch itself, or it could be the whole entire plant. It just depends on when that silencing occurred and how much that plant has grown after that. Now, unfortunately, I do have a good friend who I purchased a Firefly Petunia for, and because it was daylight and I didn't have someplace dark and I couldn't get it really super close and gave it to her the same day, I didn't realize that Firefly Petunia that I purchased had also been silenced. So I gave her a Firefly that didn't glow. And that was not one of mine. It was one I purchased commercially for them. Now, if you are a Firefly Petunia owner and you've done everything that we suggest, which is go into a dark closet, wait 5 to 10 minutes for your eyes to adjust, so that you can see it for the first time and recognize it. If you do that and your plant is not glowing, please reach out to Light Bio and they will help you with that. It is a known issue and something they're working through, and hopefully their geneticists can help kind of solve that, or at least their quality assurance can eliminate those plants before they enter into the commercial production stream. So with my petunias, I do have 3 intensities. One is my original brightness of the original Firefly Petunia variety. 2 is my F1 hybrids. That's the first generation. Most all of those have lost one of the original copies. And 3, the dimmest of those, is the ones that are silenced. So when I go through and do my breeding work, I'm only going to be grabbing those plants that glow as bright as the original Firefly Petunia. Because if I get something that continually gets dimmer and dimmer, it doesn't do me much good, and it's not my original goal, which is to have a colored, fully bright Firefly Petunia. So yeah, this is one that no longer glows, so he's just a normal petunia at this point. Glows a tiny bit. Now, the reason I'm looking for full intensity on the glow is once you start to add colorized pigment into these blossoms, that colorized pigment is going to act like the tinting in your car window. It's not going to let as much light in. Well, your tinting doesn't let a lot of light in. That's why you get that shading, that tinting. When you put colored pigment in a blossom, it's blocking some of that light from leaving, and therefore you're not going to see it as bright as you would with a white petunia. Now, we can do a couple of things. We can look at blushes, ones that are lighter, like this one here. So you still have some beautiful color for the daylight, but it's light enough that you'll see the full glow at night. So yeah, I want to go and do the breeding work where I'm going to cross these back, which is what you see in the other videos, where I'm crossing them back with the original Firefly Petunia in hopes that when that genetic mix, so if you remember how you run through I think it's the Punnett square, you look through the genetic inheritance, when that occurs, I'm hoping that I will luck out and get another copy, the one that's lost, out of these petunias back. Now, I know I'm not going to get all of it. I might not get any of it, but if I get some of it and I have a colored version that's fully bright, then I'm going to have something that I can reach out to the Light Bio company and see if they want a copy of that one, some cuttings or tissue of that, for them to then add to their product stream. Now, I myself am not going to be selling these. I'm not trading any of the raw material. This is all breeding work that I'm doing for myself. And in fact, I've got a long ways to go before I have anything that I would say is, yeah, that's something that would work well in a commercial production stream. Most of my stuff is pretty leggy, pretty wiry, and it's not something I would say is consumer ready. And that's simply because the volunteer that I'm using, that seed, my pollen donors that I'm using, those are a non-patented. They're an upright petunia, just like a general garden petunia. They haven't had a lot of breeding work done with them to make them like my long trailing petunias, like Surfina pink vein or Patea or anything like that. They're not looking like the fancy ones. So yeah, I'm working on that, and I'm watching out for these guys. You can kind of see there's a budworm that came up on this one, so got to get rid of him. Oh, and to answer the question, no, they don't glow. Even if they eat the bioluminescent ones, they don't glow. But anyway, that's what I'm doing with these petunias, is I'm adding color into those petunias that are just plain white. And then the other thing that I'm aiming for is I am adding in a little bit more vigor. So the particular variety of petunia that they used has a very poor root system. It's a very, very heavy bloomer. It's very compact. It's easy to grow in a container, but it just kind of struggles on the root aspect. It's a very fine rooted plant, and I want something that's a little bit more robust, that can handle manipulation and transplanting a little bit better. So that's the other thing that I'm looking to add in, is better roots to that. So glow and better roots. I think simply the fact that I'm crossbreeding with regular standard petunias, that's going to bring in those roots, make them a little bit better. But the whole goal is to bring in color and maintain or improve the glow in the ones that have gone a little bit dim. So yeah, there's the answer. I'm not making super bright Firefly Petunias. That's not something I've been able to do. But what I am doing is trying to get the ones that I have that are half as bright, have one copy of that genetic material, back to full brightness to where it has 2 copies. So I hope that answers that question. And let's go look at that photo again so that you can see that idea of what really makes a Firefly Petunia special. So there you go. This is a photo that I took earlier this year. That is a fully bright Firefly Petunia. Now, I think my phone is making this a little bit brighter than what they actually are. That's about what the camera captures when I do a 32-second time lapse. And you got to go into the pro settings in most cameras to get that. All of the foliage glows. So the leaves glow, the roots glow, the stems glow, and the blossoms glow. However, whatever is growing most actively, which is generally your blossoms, will glow the brightest. So that is what they look like at night. If I had a better camera that I could overexpose at night, I would definitely do more videos of them actually glowing. I just don't have anything capable of that right now. The other breeding work that we're doing is trying to breed in this variegation. So this is a variety that is variegated, and we're trying to bring that white color into our Firefly Petunias, because if you have that and there's no chlorophyll blocking the glow, then you're going to see that much, much brighter. So this is something else that I'm working with to try to get that going. And this is some of my breeding stock here. So these are ones where there are seeds set in there. So there will be colored petunias that are coming out of those. It won't be 100% colored, but it will be a mix of that. So I hope that answered some of your questions about what makes Firefly Petunias special. They glow in the dark. It's really kind of cool. It's kind of Avatar-ish. Now, the other thing I thought I should show is definitely with your Firefly Petunias, when you get those next year, take a cutting, put it in a pot, and put it outside. So this huge container here, this is one Firefly Petunia. In fact, this is the one that I got in April of this year when I was down visiting Moss greenhouses. It's doing fantastic, and it's been outside in 100+ degree heat in North Idaho. Now, I do water and fertilize it, although my fertilizer didn't keep up on that as best I could, but it does get watered and stays out here in the nice bright sun. So you can get some fairly large plants that can be up to 2 foot across. But definitely they do better in containers rather than in the ground. Now, there's a lot more information that I have in my videos. If you are a Firefly Petunia enthusiast and you have one of your own, definitely go back to my Firefly Petunia Care. And probably absolutely most importantly, if you are watching this video and you haven't subscribed to the channel and you haven't liked the video, please do that. So we're trying to grow this channel to provide more information about not only Firefly Petunias, but gardening, hanging baskets, bedding plants, things like that. This is a channel I started as an ag teacher running a horticulture program at a local greenhouse, or at a local high school, and we had a greenhouse that I built. You can kind of go back and see all of that. So my whole purpose is to get you to the point where you can grow flowers that work and look better for you than what you would normally get out of a grocery store. So hopefully you're enjoying. Hopefully you've definitely subscribed. If not, click that subscribe button, click like. If you have a question or comment, drop them down in the comments. I do read absolutely every single comment. Now, some of them I don't respond to. If it's just like a general statement, I may not respond, but if it's a question or a technical question, even thank yous, I generally respond to those. Takes me a little bit to get to them, but I do get to them. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning into our channel here and learning about Firefly Petunias. There's going to be a lot more to come, and as our small hobby greenhouse gets completed, Labor Day weekend's coming. We'll get it done there. So those of you waiting for those videos, that's when they're coming. But please definitely do subscribe and join us in that. As always, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Ag Teacher Thoughts out. Why are you still scrolling? Why are you still watching? Oh, that's right. Because you know that I usually do a little bit after every video. So if you haven't seen yet, I am building a hobby greenhouse. So a smaller version of what I had up when I taught in high school. And this is going to kind of be our YouTube studio. Yeah, this will be our YouTube studio this winter. Hopefully we can keep it warmer, but I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to build one of your own and how to keep it warm and happy. And that's where we're going to be working with all these petunias. There's a lot to come. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. See ya.